and I'll never back down. In the middle of the ring is where I lay the smack down. Against all odds, I will always prevail. So when you step to me, it's like hell in a cell.
Greetings and salutations, this is Christopher Daniels. I'm talking to my main man Delzinski right now. Any video game show, any video game channel, any YouTube channel called Vintage Shizzle is indeed hashtag Daniels approved.
Yo, alright guys, Delzinski here. Welcome to another We Talk. We're back in our regular time slot. And guess what? Just like Sasha Banks, we are the boss of the podcast world. And I'm joined once again by my partner in crime. It is the Professor Weeds. How you doing, mate?
I'm really well, mate. I was actually going to time today how long it took you to get a Sasha Banks reference in, so you've already broken that record.
Got it in nice and early because we have got so much to talk about today after NXT TakeOver Rival. What a pay-per-view. I mean, how bad was it?
How bad was it? Oh, did you like it? Did you not like it? I liked it.
It was badass. It was so good.
You set me up. You scallywag. You got me. I was like, where's he going now?
No, it was awesome. It was a great one to watch, and we're going to be talking about that today. We're going to cover a little bit of Raw as well, because obviously the Icon returned. Oh, sorry, the Vigilante returned. That was a pretty epic moment on Monday Night Raw. It's all gone a bit sci-fi, supernatural-esque with the likes of Balor and Sting coming back. So yeah,
it just pretty much depends on what TV shows Triple H has been watching in any given week. I think depends where the identity of the program goes for that particular program.
So Let's get started with it. Let's have a little bit of a talk. First of all, first impressions of TakeOver going in. What did you think of the card? Do you think solid, or do you think it was weaker than previous NXT TakeOver shows? I
was looking forward to it basically just because I knew I was going to get at least two good matches. Turned out the whole card was pretty good. Had high expectations for Balor and Neville, and obviously Zayn Owens wasn't quite what I expected, but it was still interesting. And we've obviously got a whole lot of ramifications coming out of that in terms of champions and number one contenders. But that Owens-Zayn storyline, that's got an awful long way to go, I think, still.
Yeah, I think that's the start of a major feud that's going to happen throughout NXT. So I think that's just the beginning, and whether or not they dip in and out of other matches or other storylines for Owens and Zayn, probably more Owens in the meantime. I think that's probably the route they're going to go down. So Zayn's kind of ducking in and out of this feud because of, I reckon, to be honest, we'll talk about the title match towards the end of covering it, but I think, Owens is being billed as this sort of beast, so to speak. So
Mark two.
Exactly. So being that, I think they're going to kind of have Sami Zayn doing that uphill struggle style, a bit Daniel Bryan-esque, where he's going to have to, batter down the doors. And it's going to take time for him to maybe topple Owens. It's interesting because, we obviously did have that number one contenders match. We'll talk about that as well. But it's kind of crazy because I really couldn't have expected Balor and Owens colliding so soon, and with that being the case, both on a massive high coming out of this pay-per-view, who's going to take the first loss?
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting because I think combined, about 6 months for Balor and 2 for Owens, and they're already thrust straight into the main picture. Going back to the Zayn Owens kind of feud, which seems to be developing. Personally, I don't think the title is going to be overly involved in that because I don't think it needs it.
No.
So I think that is going to be quite personal, particularly the way that ended, as you said, that we'll come on to later. So I'm kind of expecting Balor to go over sooner rather than later.
He is the man of the moment, I would say. Even more such, even though Owens picked up the belt, Balor seems to be the one at the moment. He came out the shining star of this NXT TakeOver Rival pay-per-view. So, I mean,
like the good old days of spot stealing, wasn't it?
It was. It kind of stole the show, Neville, Balor. So we'll talk about them shortly. But the actual pay-per-view started off with Hideo Itami and Tyler Breeze. Actually, nice to see Tyler Breeze back because he's kind of been pushed to the wayside with all the newcomers like Owens, Balor. It's been a bit weird for Tyler, but do you know what absolutely cracked me up? The start when he came out with that, what do you call it? What stick is it? The
selfie stick. Don't make out like you haven't got one.
Yeah, I was going to say I need to get myself one of them. Where can I get one of them from? Link me in the comments box below. Yeah, I need to get myself a selfie stick.
And obviously the crazy fan.
Well, that was oh god, whose idea was that?
It didn't need to be done, did it?
Well, I wouldn't mind her jumping on my back, to be honest.
I'm sure you wouldn't. It looked like he was going to buckle.
I thought he looked around and thought, "Oh, how you doing?" He looked like he loved it.
And then he was straight back onto his selfie stick. And that is
That
not
alone.
a euphemism. That is not a euphemism.
You dirty boy. Yeah, it was good to see Tyler Breeze back, and I think although this one was a little bit, it kind of the rivalry came quite late on going into this takeover pay-per-view. It was
more rivalry than most WWE pay-per-views, you see. So even that little kind of put together quite quickly, great for an opening match, isn't it? It's a little bit of background. You don't need a lot more because obviously the bigger background's coming later on in the card.
Yeah, it was sort of a nice touch, really. You know, the fact that Tyler Breeze just taking a real problem with Itami taking him out of the tournament, and then just basically blaming him for not going on and becoming the number one contender. So it was quite a nice little way to have this match, and it was a nice way to feature them both. And I actually really enjoy it. Teasing again the GTS. Are we ever going to see him hit this move?
I think, well, you've obviously
seen
the reaction.
Be something else?
When it happens, because it is going to happen, and I think considering we are never going to see a certain tattooed individual quite likely ever again, or at least until he's had a couple of losses in UFC, if they really wanted to stick the knife in, they'd give it to him, wouldn't they?
I think they should give it to him because it is actually his move.
It's his anyway.
It's his move. So let's anybody.
And the crowd. Can you imagine the pop when he actually does that?
Well, I'm a little bit worried that they might not use the GTS. He might be teasing this, and it's going to be something else.
Well, there was enough interesting new moves I hadn't seen. Kevin Owens did half of them, so
it was insane. I mean, the thing is with Itami is that move is coming. I don't really understand. The only thing I don't understand about this is why they wouldn't go with the GTS, because let's be honest. Punk kind of coined it in the WWE, but Itami was using it before anyway, so. He's more than welcome to use it. And if they told me I couldn't, I would be disappointed at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably more than likely will end up using it when Punk's not coming back anytime soon, is he? So it doesn't really matter. He said he's done with wrestling. So unless he's absolutely talking bullshit, as a lot of us think he is, let him, it's a good test, isn't it? Because if he doesn't care, it shouldn't matter, should it?
No, it will be awesome, like you said, when he does actually hit the GTS. Wonder what he'll call it as well. I think he called it the GTS when he was with the other wrestling organisation. So I mean, it's going to be massive and it's going to pop big time. It will just be interesting what scenario it's going to happen, because at the moment Itami's kind of been the one. He's
getting a bit lost, isn't he?
Yeah, he's getting a bit lost. It would be nice if he continues, I think, this feud with Breeze, and Breeze takes a real dislike to him, as such that he feels that he's maybe stolen his spot because of the way that him and Balor came in, and Breeze is almost pushed by the wayside. Like I said earlier, it feels like he's fallen because Breeze was the one that was feuding with the likes of Neville, the likes of Zayn, and yeah, he's well out the picture at the moment in terms of the title.
No, definitely. So I mean, it was a good way to start the show for me, because it obviously gave him complete emphasis straight away. So yeah, it'll be interesting because for me, as you were saying, I think he's getting lost in the mix a little bit. So you either got to do something with him because you don't want someone who's as talented as he is to get lost in the mix, do you?
No, I think the thing about Atami that I do like is how hard hitting he is. It's super aggressive. The kicks, oh my God, they were like echoing throughout the NXT arena. It was like...
in general, the whole thing, a majority of the matches on the card, it looked like they just beat the snot out of each other, didn't it? So
it was seriously like smash mouth action, and that's what I liked about the start of this. It wasn't we're gonna go slow and we're gonna build. It was almost like, look, we're just gonna again go full throttle, and this is how all of these NXT events go.
No, definitely. And the thing with those matches at the beginning, I think like the first 3 or 4. No, it's 3, wasn't it? They're quite quick.
They are, yeah.
And I think a lot of that goes into the kind of the performances the guys are putting over, because what I took from this is that I saw a whole variety of things throughout this takeover rival event, and that's great for a wrestling fan because you don't want to watch the same thing again and again and again and again. So no, I thought it was a great way to start with Itami, and it kind of just got better from there, really, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Where do you think Itami's going to go? Do you think he's going to continue this feud with Breeze, or do you think that potentially he's going to move on to something else? I mean, maybe
it'd be interesting to do something with Neville.
Yeah, the door's open with Neville, isn't it now? So,
because it looks like he's going to be available, and the kind of the way they did the Balor thing, that kind of ended amicably. So I would either, like you say, keep him with Breeze, because I think Breeze is could be used he could be utilised a whole lot more than he is. But I'm saying that's not a knock on NXT. There's just there's so many good things on it at the moment.
Do you think that, just to throw this one out there, and, guys, let us know by the comments box below. We always love your comments and we love the interaction. But do you guys think, and do you think, Weeds, that potentially we could introduce another belt into NXT, like a sort of intercontinental belt, or a mid-card belt, because that would be perfect for your guys like Breeze to get involved with?
Put me on the spot. I to be honest, I like it just the way it is.
So you think it's more interesting to have them all aiming for that top spot? I've got another fantastic question, but I don't know if I should save it. Shall I drop it now?
Yeah, drop some wisdom on me.
Well, someone asked me this on Twitter the other day, and it was really interesting, the response. It's not going off of topic as such, but do you think that the way guys move up to the main roster is done very well? Like you look at guys like the Ascension, they were like a monster in NXT, but when they moved up, they lost that momentum. Now, what happened with them is they lost a few matches against Balor and Itami, then they moved up. Now, should it be more that potentially either when you win the NXT title or you win the major titles, you then relinquish the belts and you move up, or could we see something like possibly a Money in the Bank match return at WrestleMania for the NXT guys to grab a contract and move up?
No, that is a great question with a number of different things, I suppose, to talk about. For me, Triple H, when he's spoken about the NXT brand, has been very careful to call it another promotion a number of times. So I think he sees them quite different. And I think that's what rings true, is that the perception outside is that you are going up to the big leagues when you go to Raw, which, right or wrong, is, I think, the general perception. For me, it's like you go from one company to another, a completely different company, and you can tell by the way they're run. It's two very headstrong individuals in Vince McMahon and Triple H who have a distinct vision for what they want to achieve with whichever product they're in charge of. So I think that's where the problem comes with guys getting lost, like the Ascension. The second point you raised with them normally losing before they go up, which has been quite a frequent thing from everyone from Page to the Ascension. I think that doesn't help
They
going,
should go up on a high, really. They should be at their
because it's like a loser leaves town kind of
correct, yeah.
angle. So I don't particularly like the way they do that. I've wanted Money in the Bank back at WrestleMania for a while. I don't like it as a pay-per-view, and I think I've made my opinions known of gimmick pay-per-views and how they're pointless to me, and how the feud should generate the meaning of what that particular pay-per-view is, whether it's going to be like you shouldn't have. And I'm quite happy they've got rid of Elimination Chamber as a pay-per-view. I hate the fact they have a Hell in a Cell one, because you just know the thing is they've got to find a match then to put into that context, and it should be the other way around. It should be the wrestlers that define what the context of that match is going to be. So no, I would quite happily move Money in the Bank with a kind of an NXT flavour, because I think WWE, and I think you've said this before, could so much better promote during one program to another, and they are getting better. But I mean, I think it was the previous NXT pay-per-view, it didn't even get a mention on the week before. So that I think the kind of the co-branding of that's the only kind of split I would have brand wise. But at the moment they feel like two distinct companies that are very, very different.
Yeah, I just think with the Money in the Bank, when someone pitched that to me, I just thought, yeah, that really could work. Like, it's a great way to showcase the talent, because like you say, with them being separate brands, you've got a certain audience that goes to the main product, and you've got that hardcore audience that goes to the NXT product. And I think that if you have that Money in the Bank, people will open their eyes a bit and be like, wow, these guys are good, and head over there and check out the alternative. And I think having it on the biggest stage of them all, if they grab a contract down and they then move up, it gives them a great platform to move forward then. And they're like the new kid on the block.
Yeah, for me, WWE can't do enough to promote what the network has on it. And particularly to be able to do, I don't know if there's some block from either USA Network that they can't talk about these things on air. Is it still Sci-Fi for SmackDown? I need to check. I don't know if there's something that they can't overly promote the network, but that's obviously, well, I don't think it
really.
But but do you know? They talk about it a lot, but it's not overly that they have an awful lot of promotional material saying subscribe here, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot more delivered through promos and that kind of thing, because I mean the network still, even with the million subs, is arguably in trouble. So you know, if you wanted to promote through the biggest card of the year, WrestleMania, if you've got NXT with 6 guys absolutely tearing the shit out of each other to try and get this title shot, or even if it's like a promotion to the main brand, how great is that a way to showcase your NXT brand?
Yeah, and that's what I think. I just think on the biggest stage of them all, there is space for NXT to be put on there, particularly with things like, you know, the streak in jeopardy, and you know, some of the bigger things that have happened over the years. We used to have always a Money in the Bank match, which everybody loved, and they took that away and made it into a pay-per-view. You know, it just seems like it could fit. And I look at the guys like your Balor, your Owens, your Zayn's, your Neville's, and I just think they are like built for a Money in the Bank match.
No, definitely. I mean, it's like throwing the Hardys, Punk, you know, Edge and Christian into the mix all over again, and that is exactly what me as a fan loved watching from WrestleMania 16 onwards.
Yeah. So I mean, I went off on a bit of a tangent, but I thought it was a really interesting question.
No way, not us.
No. I thought it was a good question. I got that on Twitter the other day. So, yeah, guys, let us know via the comments box below. Should NXT potentially have some sort of contract Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania? Or should they just be showcased in general at WrestleMania in some sort of match, just to build them up and give them that elevation, so when they do move to the main brand, they're not lost in the mix? Because I think that is happening too much when it comes to these guys moving up.
No, definitely. What did you make of Baron Corbin?
I think he's pretty good. He's different. He's different to the mold of NXT. I think he's not a high flyer. He's not fast paced. Even someone like Owens has still got that ability to pull off high flying moves. He's just a bit of a unit, and
Are they clear with what they're doing with him, do you think, at the moment?
Not sure. I mean, I liked the rivalry that he had with Bull Dempsey. I liked the fact that Bull Dempsey thought to himself that he could really, take this guy off of his path and kind of ruin things for him. But the way he caught him for that finishing move was that was pretty strong. That's a big old guy to move, Bull Dempsey, and he just did it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think it needed to be a no DQ match, because I think it only lasted, about 4 or 5 minutes?
It wasn't a long one.
And I don't think there was much emphasis. It didn't. It was nice, and I think it was a different match, and I think that's probably why it was listed as no DQ, was to just mix it up a little bit. But it didn't really need to be that. But no, they're trying to do something with him. I'm not overly clear what they are doing with him yet, but he's an interesting character, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I liked the ending of the match as well. I did like when he had beaten him, as opposed to doing the typical thing of beating your opponent down. It was like, I've done the business, and he just sat on the chair and looked at him like, you
try me again.
Yeah, you just couldn't do it, could you? You couldn't hack it. You can try it and try again. But I like that. It's making him into a bit of a no-nonsense character. He's a sort of guy that, it's interesting because you've got all these high flyers. If his paths crossed with an Owens, it would be a very interesting angle to go down now, because you've got that alternative.
No, definitely. I mean, he is something different. He's very smash mouth, in your face. So no, definitely, because you are getting, like you've already noted, quite a cluster of quite high flying wrestlers, but very good technical wrestlers as well at the top, aren't you? What did you make? I suppose just because you brought up the bit with the chair at the end, there was a lot of distinct endings to each of these matches. So you obviously had Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks in the ring. You had Balor and Neville with the handshake. You had Kevin Owens literally showing absolutely no remorse for what he's done. Do you like those bits at the end when they kind of leave? I do personally, because it leaves a bit more open for storytelling, and it's something WWE on the main roster don't seem to do as much as they used to.
I do, because it gives more emphasis on the characters, and them being in an NXT universe. They all acknowledge each other. They know their strengths and weaknesses, and that's what I liked about this. Was like with the sitting on the chair, it was acknowledgement. You try to have a go, but I am better than you, or I'm tougher than you, more like. With the shaking of the hand with Neville and Balor, it's respect, and I like that. That's an addition, like you said, storytelling wise. It just makes you think, well, if their paths cross again, then you can refer back and you can say, exactly, well, they had respect then, but now I don't. And
it has layers, I suppose, is the best thing that Raw and SmackDown doesn't have really, and it's getting them more with the top performers in Raw and SmackDown, where there's a bit of history, but it feels in NXT. Would you say that the history feels more relevant than it would necessarily with whatever Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns are currently going through?
Yeah, I love.
It will be noted more. It'll be referred back to.
Yeah, I love as well the fact that these guys that are in the mix at the moment, there's a lot of acknowledgement of their past as well. So we do get mentions of, for example, Balor being in the New Japan. They don't mention by name, but they hint of what he's done. And I like all of that, because you've got that backstory with these guys, and they're not just disregarding it. They are, putting their WWE spin on it, but it all builds into a package of, that this guy's a credible athlete. And how many times do you get to say that with the main product, that these guys are credible, because their gimmicks are so bad sometimes that there's no credibility whatsoever. That's the difference. That you respect all these guys on this NXT roster because they're doing that. Well, they're, like we've said in previous episodes, they're being true to themselves. There's no extension with Balor. He's done the face paint since he was on the indie scene. He's done that before. He's brought it in. It's been emphasized. It's been made bigger. But
it's like a nice little nod to the fans like us who have put the time and effort to understand where these guys have come from, which I quite like.
Yeah, Owens is exactly the same. It's you know he's a hard ass and he doesn't mess around, and they've kept him true to that. The biggest issue always comes when they move is how will they get treated differently, and that's why people lose their interest in them. I mean, Bo Dallas, great example, was really hot in NXT.
Adam Rose.
You know, this is the thing. You build like almost as such a following for these guys, and the main product kind of takes that away. So
I'm sitting there watching this the other day, going, you know, please don't take Neville, don't take Balor, just leave them here until you know where you're clearly going with the other product. Just leave them. I'm just sitting there thinking, you know, have I got these guys to watch for 6 months, a year? And that's quite worrying. You know, you wonder why you're thinking that as a fan whilst you're watching.
So to answer your question, yes, I do like those segments at the end of these matches. It's an acknowledgement and it builds on storyline. And we've always talked about it a lot. Storyline is so very important when it comes to wrestling. And
just one more point around that. How much more useful is a commentary team? And this is a 3-man team, remember, that NXT operate exactly the same as the main brand. How good was this commentary team at telling the stories or giving a particular angle around? They weren't perfect, but I thought they were a lot better than what you normally get on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, they gave you the background of each match. They broke it down for you. And what was nice as well is they didn't always agree with each other. And then they didn't agree. They didn't just take the mickey out of each other. They came back with another valid point. So it was like...
Yeah, it was a point. It wasn't just the sake of disagreeing for the sake of disagreeing.
No, and it was like, for example, I think at one point, I think it was Corey Graves mentioned about Balor, and he hasn't really achieved a lot. And it was almost in indication to NXT and WWE terms. And I think it was, I'm going to call him A-Train.
A-Train.
He sort of cut him off at the pass, and he did go and say to him, you know, outside... he has done a lot, and now he's doing a lot here in NXT, and it was like a valid point. It wasn't. Oh, you're an idiot. Like we get on the main one. You know, on Raw each week. If somebody makes a comment, it's belittled and made to feel stupid. It was just nope. I'm just going to correct you there and point out this, and this, and this is what he has done. So and then it's accepted, and they move on.
No, I completely agree. I think what you get from the main team on Raw is it's just like not even schoolboy humor. It's like sophomore, you know, just, you know, you're an idiot kind of. Yeah, it's just embarrassing to even, you just want to mute the TV half the time, or at least have. Here's an idea for WWE: have an alternative commentary team. Me and Delzinski will do it. No probs. We would. We are free. We are available. Check out some of my commentaries on some of my matches. Then you'll get to see how passionate I am. God. Yeah. I don't sound like a 12-year-old girl. Oh, that was my Joey Styles. Oh, right. Anyway, back to the pay-per-view. What was it next? Was it Blake and Murphy and the Lucha Dragons? I think we had slightly conflicting opinions of this, don't we? Yeah, I don't know. This I didn't feel that there was a lot of botches in this match, but I didn't really feel it was always Sin Cara and Kalisto's fault. I think that maybe Murphy and Blake are a little bit green, and I think that they. I like them. Oh, I don't know. They're a bit of a throwback to like your sort of traditional. They kind of look a bit like the Wolves. Yeah, this is why I like them. It's like looking at the Rockers and that. Yeah, I thought you'd say the Rockers. and I like tag teams like that. I like it when, I know it sounds stupid, but when they have similar attires, they actually believe in themselves as a pair. And for me, that's what tag team wrestling's all about, and sadly missing. And I think, again, tag team wrestling, just such a lost art form to the point where you've got to look at probably your two best WWE wrestlers in terms of the actual ability, and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart honed their skills within the company in the tag team division, and you've only got to look how much it did for them and the ideas that they could come up with and the speed of the matches and how it works. That I'm not saying Blake and Murphy are your next HBK and Bret Hart, but I like having that basis to start from, and again, not to drone on about the main roster, but I mean, what are we getting most of the time? Slater Gator thrown together.
Hoorah, 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 hoorah!
Any chance to hear you do that? But it's all very mishmash, isn't it? You had Curtis Axel and Ryback thrown together previously. They're getting a little bit better, but at the moment it just seems like the tag team division is the Usos, the Ascension are obviously making their way up, and Miz and Mizdow, we're just waiting for them to split up, aren't we?
Yeah, it's nice to see tag teams look like a tag team. Like, you know, like you said, the Hardys, the Wolves. You had guys like the Young Bucks who have that look, and Murphy and Blake have definitely got that. The only thing I thought was that they didn't quite know Sin Cara and Kalisto's moveset that well. That's why it got awkward in some moments. Because
there was enough awkwardness just with Kalisto and Sin Cara trying to start chants when no one was interested. There was a couple of botches.
I didn't like
the worst match on the card.
Yeah,
that's saying something.
I didn't like that the fans. It wasn't a lot, to be honest. Let's be honest. They didn't really put a lot of heat on them, but there was a moment where they were like chanting a little bit of like "you effed up," and to me, I think
they did, and then they followed it up with an amazing move afterwards. So
yes, I think you got respect. There is one thing about Sin Cara. Obviously, it's not the real Sin Cara anymore, but
Fat Sin Cara.
Yes, it is Fat Sin Cara with tattoo. You've got to accept that someone like Kalisto, I would say he does more risky moves, even more so than your guys like your Nevilles, and I think he does them with he's a small guy, and when he flips, it can either go one of two ways with a guy like that. It's that whole lucha style. And but I really like Kalisto. I
get it. You could not see him. I like him as well, but you just can't see him surviving on the main roster, and he will never move up.
But why can't he be your next Rey Mysterio?
Exactly, because that's what
he's got that ability in him.
It pissed Vince off enough that Rey Mysterio got quite a following because
free Rey.
Yeah, it's not his prototypical kind of guy that he likes to push, is he?
No, it's just, to me, I just think that Kalisto has a good moveset. There was talks about him becoming a gay hairdresser. You heard about this?
No, please enlighten me.
Apparently they trialled him being a gay hairdresser. I don't know. I mean, this is throwing it all out the window, isn't it? All their PC stuff. But
I've got flashbacks to Billy and Chuck now. And who was the guy that used to come up with them? Rico.
You are.
You look a bit like Rico, actually. Silence.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Rico looked like a bashed up Disco Inferno.
He's like he's swollen. No, I'm not calling you fat. You're going to take that personally.
Oh, Lord. This is what I have to put up with. We'll be advertising for replacements next week. Yeah, I mean, the match was okay. I thought there was a few mistakes in there, but like you said, if this is the weakest on the card, it's not really a bad thing. I liked the finish. I liked the whole. And let's be honest. Some of the spots were mistakes, but some of the spots were awesome.
And most of the spots are. Could you imagine half of the main roster trying to do some of the stuff they were doing?
The back and forth pins was it was so quick and stuff, and I think it was that quick that it confused the pair of them.
Yeah, I think if there was a match that could go with a few spots missing, they were all so intricate and so high flying that you can't hit them all, because they must have done about 20 different things in this match.
I liked the finish very much. I liked the unexpected tag and then the frog splash, and it was night. But yeah, it's interesting because Murphy and Blake have kind of come a little bit out of the blue, because it was the Vaudevillains, wasn't it, that they were trying to push before? And
yeah, I think they were on the pre-show, weren't they?
Yeah, so they've kind of switched it up a little bit. They've taken a bit of a risk with Murphy and Blake, but
I like the Vaudevillains though.
I do. Would you have preferred them to be in the spot that Murphy and Blake were in?
Not necessarily. I'm quite happy with Blake and Murphy, but no. Again, it's good that you've got teams that you can actually talk about, isn't it? And the Vaudevillains are just completely different from anything I've ever seen. So,
do you know who I'm missing?
Hit me.
I miss Enzo Amore.
Oh, bless.
Where is he?
Well, he was on the pre-show.
Yeah, but
Or was he?
yeah, but he deserves to be on the main show.
Not going to cry about it, are you?
Don't you just miss some of his promos and his skills?
See, I told you like Rico.
Idiot. Yeah, so I kind of miss Enzo. I hope he gets back into the mix soon. I mean, they're a good tag team as well, you know. So it's good. It's so good that we've got so many options to talk about in the tag team division. I mean, what do we say when it comes to the main roster?
But this is what's funny, is that the main roster is huge compared to this roster. And just look how much better the storytelling and the depth that there is to these characters. And it's a far smaller roster.
This roster is getting bigger and better. So I've seen a few things that are coming in the weeks to come, and I'm just thinking, wow, this is a bit of a game changer. So yeah.
So where are we up to? We up to the for me the main attraction of this.
You want to go there first? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we seem to be going in match order.
All right. Yeah.
This is far too organised for us.
So. Right, let's
make it wait. Let's go to the Fatal 4-Way.
What? Huh?
I've changed my mind. I'm changing it up.
So excited to talk about.
I know you are. That's why I'm making you.
Okay, I'm just as excited about this one because Sasha Banks actually did it. I mean, the boss is finally the NXT Women's Champion.
I loved the way she won. The fact that it felt like she absolutely wore her out with the submission hold, and then the roll up. I was just like, I haven't seen something like that for ages. That was great. I really liked the way it finished.
Now let's be honest. This is women's wrestling. This now obliterates the term diva. There is no place in wrestling for the term diva. Yes, they're nice to look at. But
NXT Women's Championship.
Yes, and there was such a great contrast in styles. You had Bayley, who's got her suplexes. You've got Sasha Banks, who's just, she's a bit of a flyer, but, she's just the badass. And then you had Becky Lynch, who was really roughing people up in there. And then you had Charlotte Flair, who really got taken out in this match. I mean, she got taken out by being rammed into the sideboard of the ring. And
that was a nice little spot.
It was nice because it put emphasis on the others. And then when she got back involved, you almost thought as such she was going to do it again, that she was going to take over, and then
she had like a Brock Lesnar moment, didn't she?
I thought Bayley was going to win it at one point
with the is it the belly to Bayley or the Bayley to belly?
I don't know, but I like hearing you say it. It's pretty funny. Say it again.
The belly to belly, the belly to belly. Off the top rope. That I really like that bit. And again, the way they wound up the end of the match, and the fact that Sasha Banks broke the submission hold to actually clear people off the side of the apron. Again, it was a good finish. I liked it.
Storytelling again, though, wasn't it? It was all about everybody in this. Comes together. There's no sort of random thrown in. Like Bayley had her paths across with Sasha Banks before. Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, were best of friends at one point, but now it's just simply business. And then you had like Charlotte Flair, who had that massive feud with Sasha Banks. It all made sense to have these four in the ring, and I just thought it didn't disappoint, and it was great to see. And we are kind of quite negative when it comes to the divas. I mean, we are bored of them. And
I do not buy into Total Divas one bit. Well, I buy into this.
Trouble is I don't really want to talk about the divas because it frustrates me so much. But the trouble is these girls now, at the moment, this is what it's all about. And if you move them up, they then become this diva creation that Vince has come up with. And there's a lot of talk at the moment, and I tweeted about this. I said about Charlotte Flair is that they do want to move her up, but Vince doesn't see her as the look that a diva should have. And in a WWE world where they put across all these things that, they want to be politically, they want to be correct and they want to be right, and you have your chairman of the WWE, you have the owner saying that she doesn't look right. It's that same old thing again, isn't it? It's so irritating to hear something like that. It's not about what they can do in the ring. He just wants that look.
It's entertainment, isn't it? And that's that. But I remember 10, 15 years ago around WrestleMania, it would always be which diva's going to be in Playboy that year. And that's what it is. It's about, for him, it's about cross-branding. And there's nothing more telling in that podcast of when he was absolutely having a row with Austin, saying it's entertainment. It's always been entertainment, which is bullshit.
Triple H should be banging the drum about this, and he should be saying to him, look at this, sit him down, grab him by the grapefruits, and just tell him. I was so angry then, I nearly knocked my headset off. Grab him by the grapefruits and just make him watch this match over and over again and ask him the question, why does our main roster not do things like this? Because this was on point.
Quick question then.
Yes.
Does Vince have any interest in wrestling?
No, he's interested in money and entertainment. And his view of entertainment is not pro wrestling, not good matches. Triple H's view is to put on a good show with good, solid wrestling. And, look, we've talked enough, I think, about Vince. Let's kind of just forget about him for a second. Let's give all the credit here to your Sasha Banks, who did pick up the NXT title, women's title, and it's been a long time coming. She's tried and tried again.
And the way it ended, so after the match was done, did you get the feeling that was Charlotte kind of saying, over to you, I am going soon?
It was a handover, wasn't it?
It felt like
nice.
there seemed like genuine warmth between the two, and then the little shove at the end, which was quite good because they went back to character. But I thought Sasha Banks was going to burst into tears as she was going up the ramp.
What I like about Sasha Banks is she has got like a proper gimmick. Like, she lives and breathes this gimmick. She lives it on Twitter, social media. She never she doesn't really break it that much. And also she just loves every second of it with the fans. You can see that this is like her world, and she's been waiting for this, and she ain't gonna just give it up. She just wants it.
And let's not mix any words about this. I mean, you fancy the pants off of her, so
she's all right, yeah. But yeah, it's just the whole thing. The match, how it was done. I credit to all of them. It's just be interesting. Match. It's going to be interesting what happens to Charlotte now.
Definitely,
I would not move her up.
No, other than that, you're just going to see what Paige and Charlotte again and again. The fact that they've put Paige in that, I'm going to swear, that fucking diva's house is just like, oh my God. She's like the anti-diva. Why would you put her in there?
She's been divified.
Exactly. I hate it. I hate it. Now you've started me ranting.
Well, on that note, yeah.
Let's get on to something good.
Let's talk about probably the match of the night, the number one contenders match. And let's just get it out of the way. I was going to say this before. You are never going to hear a bad word about Finn Balor on any We Talk.
I think that's a given.
Because it's just wicked, man. It's just, I was been waiting for, obviously, him to come to NXT. I was a bit worried that when he did arrive, they wouldn't do him justice. But, oh my goodness, it has exceeded expectation the way they have gone with Balor. The entrance, we'll get onto Adrian Neville because he was just as superb on the night. But
entrance is nuts.
Entrance is just getting better and better every time you see it. He's really, he said that it was a massive difference from New Japan to this. Although he did do quite elaborate entrances in New Japan, if you've seen any of them. He came out of a coffin once. But it's just the way it works. The lights, it's the whole thing with the rising when the lights come up and then goes back down. I love all of it. It's brilliant. From a marketing point of view, it's gold.
I mean, I think you touched on it before. The Undertaker is coming to an end. I think we all know that health looks like it's catching up with him. We're probably going to see him against Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, but I'm not saying he's going to replace the Undertaker, but he's in. I think, like you said, in terms of attraction and the entertainment, we are actually talking entertainment now. He is gold. You know, good, and he's just learning this stuff when it comes to the performance side, and again, like you say, as the lights come up and the arms come out and he looks to the heavens, it's great. It's great theatre.
You got to think that one of the criticisms or the concerns with Devitt Balor was that he may struggle with his mic skills, but you know, if he's got the confidence to pull off the gimmicks that he's doing at the moment, and the look and the style, and you know the way he does the theatrics, it's
just remember, Taker did not say a word for about 5 years.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Do you know when it's rare to get very excited about an entrance, and towards the end with Taker's entrance, you know, I kind of wore off, but you always have.
Just get to the ring.
you kind of always, if you're there live and you see it and you hear it, and it's the fire coming out and everything, it's just such a great spectacle. And this entrance is even, well, I'd say it's just as good. You know, you've got the smoke, the red, and
has
you know,
the potential to be just as good.
Well, do you know? I mean, the difference is that Taker only really had the Undertaker look, and you know, with Balor, he can have a multitude of looks. He used to have the Punisher, and I have seen have you seen the trailers where he's had the Punisher face paint? So they are open to adjusting this. He's not just
tweak it, don't they?
Yeah, he's not going to be just this devil sort of look with the dragon wings, and the face paint was tweaked this time. He had the dragon wings on his back. It's just awesome. It's awesome.
And I suppose going on to the character, the stuff they're building in, and they have gone a bit Dexter-esque with the dark passenger bit when he's obviously crawling around the ring. But yes. I loved that he brought that into the match, and that he started stalking, and obviously they did it for the spot through the barrier.
Oh, it was wicked.
Which worked really well. But it's stuff like that, builds on that, and with he's just got a ridiculous amount of talent when it comes to technical in-ring ability and the stuff he can actually do, which a lot of guys can't actually do. You know, he's the future, isn't he?
Yeah, the split personality, it just makes it awesome. 1 minute, you know, he's normal, and then he flips the switch, and then he's crawling around the ring, and it's like he's stalking his prey, and that's what I liked about it. The dropkick through the barrier was awesome. And some people said that the last 3 minutes of this match was good. I thought the whole match was good, because this match had to start off at a certain pace, and it showed technically how good these guys are. It wasn't just high flying. They showed they can do submission holds. They can dictate match pace. It had everything. So I don't get when somebody says 3 minutes of a match was good. Come on.
No, I mean, it built, and for me, that's one of the most things is you don't. I don't want to see something at 100 miles an hour the whole time, because it's the same stuff. Why? I mean, as a wrestling fan, I want to see different stories. That was what was great about the beginning of Owens Sane, that Owens basically backed off for the first 2-3 minutes, and again with Balor and Neville, it was all about the technical wrestling, and it was like it felt. And I think they brought it up in commentary again, which was so good that it felt like one thing could potentially change this match. You know, if you got on top of your guy in terms of those headlocks that Neville was trying to absolutely punish him with at the beginning, and it felt like the little differences would have more meaning, and I like that.
At one point, I thought it was at the beginning, I thought it was a certain Balor win, but as the match went on, I was beginning to think, well, he's hitting with this, he's hitting with that.
The corkscrew move that Neville did from the middle rope was just I was just sitting there thinking, how the hell has he just done that?
What about the reversal on the Red Arrow?
It was. I mean, nuts, knees up, straight into a roll up. It was brilliant.
And let's face facts as well. They didn't undervalue Neville in this match, because Neville kicked out of the double foot stomp and that double foot stomp to the back of the neck. I know you're kind of questioning his finishes, but that double foot stomp to the back of the neck just looked unreal. It was the way it was
done there, where he kind of staggered up. He staggered up and he hit him and he was actually standing. Because for me, the double foot stomp that finished it, it looked like, well, I'm not going to say botched it, because I think he meant to do it the way he did it, but just to take off the impact. But it didn't look right. It didn't look as smooth as the other one, if you see what I mean. And that's I suppose that's my only issue with it, is And I
Yeah,
suppose
but you have
going forward, you've got Seth Rollins who's obviously going to match up, and it's going to be a very similar sort of match, isn't it? If you're both looking for these stomps.
Yeah, I think the thing is with the double foot.
I mean, he's
stomp,
always done it, so
you have to take the power out of it, don't you? You're gonna have to drop your knees, and that's why when you I think when they hit it almost is such you can't land on your feet or anything.
And I think that's my issue with it, is that it takes away from his performance for me. I'm not saying I don't like it, because I'm as we've already said, we're not going to say a bad word about Balor. I'm not sure about it still, and particularly as that one, but it's hard hitting as that match was, because you could see he's taking it off, like you say, to fall backwards.
Yeah, but then you could look at it this way, that you weren't going to get a double foot stomp at all, because that's the way WWE works.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised he's allowed to do stomps altogether, considering that's what Seth does.
Yeah, I just thought the way it was back and forth, I didn't think the finishes were devalued at all. I thought the way that they did it was, because we always talk about an overuse of finishes, but I didn't think it was overused at all. It was nice that the first double foot stomp, in a way, he caught him but he didn't catch him flush. He caught him stunned him. That's why he managed to kick out. Then the last one was the one straight down on the chest, which ultimately finished off Neville, who I again just think is an unbelievable athlete, and I certainly hope he doesn't go up to the main roster anytime soon, because if he goes up now, or he goes up at any point shortly, he's really going to get lost in the WrestleMania campaign going forward. I think he needs to stay where he is and pick up a feud with some of the other guys. There's Hideo, there's Breeze, Baron Corbin floating around. I think that he could, easily pick up something there. But this was the match of the night. There were so many good spots, and I don't think you could really call it when you were watching it. It was just exciting, lots of drama and suspense.
What do you make of? I'm going to call it the Pele kick rather than the Pele.
It's not a Pele.
It's not a Pele. It's Pele.
It's a Pele kick. It's like an overhead kick. I like it.
I just wouldn't. I just wish they'd stop calling it the Pele.
It's not a Pele, because
I'd stop calling it altogether.
AJ Styles does like a flip and he catches him on the front of the head, whereas this is a backwards kick.
They're just looking. It seems
an overhead kick.
It's a signature move, isn't it? So they're looking to give it a name.
They should. I'm sure he'll come out and say he's got a lot of moves. He's also got that move where he comes off the rope. I can't remember the exact name of the move, where he grabs them and it's almost like a zigzag, but it's like a clothesline zigzag.
Sling blade or something like that.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got the double foot stomp. He's got the backwards suplex. So he's got it's almost like an inverted brain buster.
The inverted DDT.
Yeah,
kind of thing he does.
He's not allowed, I don't think, to do a brain buster. I don't think WWE allow brain busters anymore, do they?
Well,
he used to use them a lot on the indies, but he's kind of toned that down.
It depends who's watching. I think a lot of them just assume Vince isn't, so they get away with a lot more stuff.
But overall, I mean, moveset wise, let's just do one quick comparison. Finn against Roman Reigns. I mean, that's what you're talking about. This guy's establishing moves. He's not a one-trick wonder with one punch, or a spear. This guy's got a whole arsenal of moves that can take you out. He is, like you say, that Seth Rollins style. He's got so much in him that you cannot say. And again, Neville's exactly the same. It's unbelievable that these guys, are when we look at NXT being classed as the lower brand.
It's like it just reminds me of when we were watching like Hogan and Warrior go over, and you knew that you had Bret Hart underneath, you knew you had Shawn Michaels underneath, and you're just waiting for these guys, and that's kind of the way it feels. Like you've got to get, they're there, and it's coming round to that again, because the Roman Reigns thing, and I suppose this goes back to the competition and all the other stuff we said. The fans aren't going to keep buying this. I mean, the kids are, but the fans aren't.
No. So, match of the night for you?
Yeah, by far, I really, really, really enjoyed this match. It was only, I think, about 14, 15 minutes, but I was into it the whole way through.
The respect at the end as well was a very nice touch. Like that a lot.
It was great, and as
Closure.
I said, the one thing I took from it, and again comparing it to the main roster, is it didn't damage Neville. If anything, it just showcased his talents again. But importantly, he took the loss badly. You could see it meant something that he'd lost.
Oh, just to touch on it, when he hit that corkscrew off the second rope, when he kicked out of that, it was the face of Neville throwing the gum shield on the mat.
Yeah,
that
little touches.
That emotion is something that just makes a match. I always remember it with. Was it The Rock when The Rock hit 3 rock bottoms, or he hit 2 rock bottoms, and he sort of sat there thinking at WrestleMania 19, what do I do to beat Austin? It was that sort of
smacking himself on the side of the head. Yeah,
it's that
little touches, the little bits in the character that give you a deeper insight to what they're actually thinking and feeling, and that's what we're looking for. Yeah,
and when they shook hands at the end, I think it was what everyone wanted to see. They wanted to see that respect, and it's nice to know begrudging respect. Yes. Neville didn't do himself any damages in this match, and I think actually, to be honest, it got Neville back in the mix in terms of the NXT picture, because a lot of people were presuming he was going up.
Yeah, well, I think the guys normally who are moving up move around just after WrestleMania, so hopefully they'll leave him there for the time being. It wouldn't surprise me, if some of these guys do get fast track through. Would it? You?
I don't want any of them to move.
No, neither do I, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do. So, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. What did you make of this one? Because this one had a slightly controversial finish. Well, as controversial as NXT is going to get, which isn't that very for me.
Well, is Kevin Owens just not the baddest mother trucker you've ever seen?
Well, at least since Brock.
And do you know what I like about Kevin Owens? It's slightly different to Brock, is that in his mind, in Kevin Owens' mind, he's not a heel, really. He's doing this because he's doing it for the money. He's doing it for the basis of a better life. He's doing it for his family, and he knew that the ultimate goal was to become champion, to give his family that opportunity. And that is the story that is so good about this. His
video package was brilliant that they did before.
Putting Sami Zayn to the side, he's saying, yeah, I am friends with Sami Zayn, but this is business, and I need to get this right, and I need to be the champion. That's the mentality that I love, and that is the small storyline that makes this so good, is that it's all about him just having a better life. It's not about being a heel or a face. For him, it's just taking care of business.
But even the bit with Sami Zayn where he's basically saying we did everything together, where he says I've been. Look, here's me, here's the photos, here's the proof that I've done it. I went and had a family, and this guy ditched me, and that's great.
It's awesome.
And that is why when you're saying he's not a heel, that because he's got justifiable actions as far as some of the fans are going to be concerned. Because people will completely emphasize with that I've had guys who I've grown up with, and I've done this, and they've gone. So it's a great one, because it happens to people all the time, and that's a brilliant bit of real life to bring in. Obviously, I would imagine there is absolutely no animosity between the two whatsoever, but to be able to use that personal history, I loved that. I thought it was a great video package that they did, and especially I think it was the Colosseum in Rome that they had in the background.
Yeah.
What a great vision, what a great picture to have in the background, that these two guys have been on this collision path for 10, 15 years, and we know they've done stuff elsewhere, but they said, and again, it was great that they both said we both wanted to get here to WWE in some context, and it brings it. There's so many good things about the storyline that it's all coming together. It all has meaning.
I loved that bit with Zayn where he said, and then he went and had a family. It was like a
bust.
Yeah, it was a little bit like, you made your choice, and I stuck to my path of going on and becoming NXT champion. But you made your decision, and then obviously begrudgingly Owen has never forgot that.
No, I thought it was really, really good way to build the match. The match itself, I think for me it was quite a long match, wasn't it? It was about 25 minutes.
It was very
took a while
interesting.
To get going. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because I like it when you have the most. It was important to them, and again, the story they were trying to tell with Kevin Owens trying to literally psych out Sami Zayn for the first 5 minutes, to the point where you had the high risk spot with Zayn literally leaping over the referee to get to him.
Well, I liked the match. I thought it was quite different. I think the crowd were trying to understand the match a little bit. That's why, it was a very mixed reaction for both people. There was you can't not like Sami Zayn. There's something about Sami Zayn, even his entrance music. It's just it just gets you hyped. And then you had a lot of fans chanting "Fight Owens, fight," and it was almost like that they weren't going to be happy until they saw an overall winner, which they didn't really get to see in this match. They got
the
to
ending was interesting. Really interesting way to do it.
They just saw Owens really just be relentless in his pursuit of the championship. You didn't get a pinfall. It was almost like it was all off of that spot, wasn't it? It was the high flying spot from Zayn where he came over the top rope and his head flipped back and he hit his back of his head, and from there on it was almost like he got a concussion, and from there on it was Owens just capitalising.
Powerbomb after powerbomb, just nuts.
In a way, I kind of the way the match was laid out, it made sense to have Owens be such a beast, because in between doing that, Sami Zayn did get his moments. He got in there a bit, but the way that they did that bit with the head being knocked, it gave reason for him to sort of lose.
They seem to have a destination where everyone knew they were getting to, because when they were saying he's being obliterated here by Owens, I'm sitting there thinking, well, I don't think he actually is being, it seemed a lot more 50-50 than, when I watched Cena get his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. It wasn't as one-sided as I think they were making it out to be. It became very, very one-sided once he caught him in the first powerbomb, and then just followed up with, what was it, about 6, 7, 8 of them. And that, I just thought it was slightly out of sync there. But no, again, with I think they saw the spot with the head, and he's come down hard, and it was basically maybe they went a little bit early, but I don't think it didn't do any damage for me. It just felt maybe like they were trying to get someone quicker than the wrestlers were taking them. Did you
like the interaction of the medical team getting involved?
I mean, the medical
Did you buy
team
it?
in the match. I thought he was all right, because he just kept going up for more power bombs. But
I liked Owens' aggressiveness throughout.
But in terms of the storyline for those two guys, it's great, because he paid no attention, Sami Zayn and Owens, to the medical team during the match, and he had no remorse after the match, which is exactly what you want from a feud like this.
And the way Zayn comes out of it is that Zayn didn't give up. He never said I'd had enough. The referee called that. He's never, in his head, he didn't lose that belt that night. He could have, if he could have said that if he'd been pinned, he would have still kicked out. And that's the nice thing about this. Zayn, because it's questionable, isn't it, really, that he's lost the title so soon after his long build with Adrian Neville. But
I mean, I don't have an issue with him losing the title, because I think I don't think Owens is going to have it particularly long either. And I think for them at the moment, the story seems to be the key thing. Sami Zayn getting the first title was the payoff, I suppose. It doesn't really matter how long he keeps it for me.
I just think as well, to touch on the entrances as well, when Sami Zayn comes out, the whole crowd love it. Like, they loved that whole him being champion. So it's a big deal that he lost the belt. So redemption will be a big deal as well. One thing I'd point out is that with Balor being the number one contender, could you potentially see Owens dropping the belt to Balor to then let the feud continue here, and so then it takes the belt out of the picture completely for a little while?
I can see Zayn costing him in some way, not like but in maybe a distraction, not actually hitting him or anything, but messing with him so Balor hits him with something, and then the title's gone. That's maybe how I see it working, and that building more animosity between the two.
Because I don't think that Balor is going to pick up a pinfall loss in any way to Kevin Owens. I just can't see WWE wanting to do that to it, or NXT wanting to do that to him at the moment. I think that he is potentially on that level where they won't want him to come out on a loss. But I also think as well with Kevin Owens, they feel that if he does drop the belt, the feud between him and Zayn could just, progress.
No, definitely. One thing I was going to ask you about this match, did you think it had a lot of subtle nods to feuds from yesteryear?
In which sort of matches? What were you looking at?
With the head thing, it felt like I was like, this is kind of a little nod to Shawn Michaels. Yeah. Obviously Brock Lesnar and John Cena came up, and it just felt like there were some good angles that would play necessarily on people like yourself and I and other wrestling fans who know the history and think, well, are we going to see something like that has happened before? Is Sami Zayn going to pass out midway? Are we going to get some bullshit finish, which we didn't, obviously, but I thought that was quite, because that for me, that's what I was thinking. I was like, is this going to be a Shawn Michaels thing?
We haven't seen sort of like concussion angles and things like that for quite some time, and it's kind of, again,
it's such a big issue now, isn't it?
A concussion's not a great thing in general, but like what in terms of a story, again, it's all about telling the story. It's all about making sure that someone doesn't come across looking weak. Let's cast our minds and quickly just touch on it. Brock Lesnar, John Cena. How weak did John Cena look?
This is how that match should have finished.
Yes, because there was no indication that Cena was injured during his match where he got 16 German suplexes. He was just destroyed, and he came out of that. Even the WWE had to do some sort of damage control to make it look better. That's why he always hits the AAs on Lesnar now. Whereas this was much better in terms of making sure that nobody suffered in this match. Sami Zayn can always fall back on that he was concussed and that he never, ever actually was pinned. And Kevin Owens, well, he dominated, and, for him, it was just, he was just taking care of business. Both of them come out with legitimate reasons to continue their path. Neither of them can come away and think, I was destroyed this night or I was embarrassed this night. And there's no damage control that needs to be done. This just continues.
No, it's exactly your point. Like we said with Cena, it was like, how the hell are they going to fix this?
In fairness, they haven't.
No, and he's kind of drifted, I suppose, ever since. He's
close to now.
Well, he got close to the title, but that was ridiculous because they went from one. It was like they pushed the panic button and thought, oh, we got to make him look strong at the next pay-per-view. But no, it's like this. This angle would have worked perfectly for that feud. So I'd say, what would you say? TakeOver rival, I really liked it.
I would say that it was brilliant. I would say that there's probably been takeovers that have been slightly better, but this was a real a pay-per-view which was focused, very story-driven, and it told a lot of good stories, and a lot of closure was given as well, and a lot of things, and a lot of recognition. It was just nice. It was enjoyable. You don't get that a lot with the WWE.
It was, as I think I put on Twitter yesterday,
exciting as well.
It was great to watch a wrestling show, a nice 2-hour, well-constructed wrestling show with proper angles. Obviously, it was on the network, so no cutting to stupid breaks halfway through a match. This was wrestling. This was not entertainment in the sense of WWE's context.
Totally refreshing.
No, completely.
So guys, let us know via the comments box below what you think of NXT TakeOver Rival. What was your favourite moments? What was your favourite match? Where do you think the world title or the NXT title is going? And what's next for Finn, Adrian Neville, Hideo Itami, Tyler Breeze and co? Want to get your views on that. Now, we are going to quickly touch on Raw because...
couple of key points, I suppose, from it, isn't there?
The Vigilante, I was saying I was excited about NXT, but was you not just thoroughly excited by that segment between Triple H and Sting? Did it not give you a flashback to olden days of Sting being marketed in the right way?
This was, I did like Triple H doing his best Hollywood Hulk Hogan impression and falling flat on his ass as he turned around. And was it the mock Sting in the ring? It was good. And the way they did the titles with Triple H, I accept. It was, like you say, very mysterious, very spooky.
Video package was amazing.
Yeah, and I'm starting to like the squawking of the raven. It's
Yes.
not pissing me off as much as it was to start off with. Exactly.
I don't know what that, I don't know what mine was. Mine was like some sort of dying
Pig.
pig.
Sounded more like a duck. Don't even know what that was. It sounds like you've got someone chained up in a dungeon.
I have.
Rico!
Oh no, let's not start that again. Yeah, the segment was really good. Again, it's always involving Triple H, isn't it? Let's be honest. Whenever Triple H is involved or having some sort of thought process in it, the stories are good. Like his whole thing about Sting staying away and not wanting to come to the WWE. And if he ever had chosen to come to the WWE, Triple H would have put him in his place. It's very nicely done.
The history with WCW. So maybe, yeah, he's getting a wrestling angle in there. Fancy that.
How did he get that past Vince?
Vince must have, nipped off for a sleep or something, or have a haircut.
Have you ever seen Vince's video where he was in a coma, and it's like an advert for Linda McMahon's whatever it was, candidate trail, whatever she was doing. Have you ever
please
seen
link
that?
it to me.
I'll leave it a link in the description box below. You guys will laugh your asses off. It's awful. It's got I'll link you. You'll have a laugh. Maybe that was why. Maybe he'd slipped back into that coma again, and Triple H took full advantage of it.
One thing to say about Triple H is how lean is he looking?
His Instagram, he's been putting a lot of effort in the training. So Sting, we don't know.
I feel quite bad for Sting because it kind of like, are you going to be able to keep up with him?
Well, yeah, we're not sure how Sting is physically. I mean, he's been off for like, it's been well over a year.
You'd hope he's been training hard. I would imagine he is. And I mean, even when he came in Survivor Series and he was a little bit overweight, he moved bloody quick to put when he put the Scorpion Death Drop on Triple H. So I think it's still there. Physically
better than the Undertaker. I think he's in a better condition, a better shape than Taker is, I think, at this moment in time. Although we haven't seen Taker for a while, it's not sounding good about him.
It's a very good litmus test, isn't it, to see what Sting can do, because necessarily we can look at Sting Taker at some point still.
Yeah, I thought the segment on Raw was solid. I love the whole in the crowd, because they're not, it's nice as well that Triple H is acknowledging the rafters as well, because it's all about what Sting was always about, the mystery, and that got taken out of his TNA days. I mean, when he used to come back, he didn't even put the effort in by having the lights go out.
He was just the franchise, where it was WCW Sting from like 91 in TNA most of the time, but just looking like the Crow Sting.
A quick one, because I know we're going to probably talk about Fastlane in detail anyway soon. But do you think that we're going to get a lot of talking from Sting, or are we just going to get stare down?
I think they have gone for the exact angle that he came back with, that year-long build, which is I'm the righter of wrongs. He's been the Crow, basically. He is here to right the wrongs of the authority, and I don't know how they finish it, though, because I'm assuming this match is actually going to have some meaning to it, some other stipulation, whatever it may be.
Maybe he gives control to Hulk Hogan, then Hulk Hogan brings back the NWO, and then we get the NWO Sting, and WCW is revived, and WWE is no more.
That is one hell of a tangent. You've just taken a right turn off.
Yeah.
The other bit I wanted to ask you about Raw was Brock Lesnar, and I think you made the observation that this was probably not the best use of Brock Lesnar on a Monday Night Raw.
I was discussing this with my brother, and we've come to the conclusion that Brock Lesnar will not be there after WrestleMania on the basis of segments like Raw, where Lesnar has been used, and we are all very precious with Brock Lesnar being what he is in terms of a showcase piece. He was used very sparingly in the past, but now
he's talking about the Brian Williams thing.
Yes.
So,
and Lesnar didn't say a word. Lesnar, when this guy's meant to be used so sparingly, they didn't. They just had him there. So
it would imply that he's going.
Yeah, it sounds like they're running down his dates to make sure they get.
Which is bloody ridiculous if they've got loads of them left.
So it's interesting to me because I sort of felt that if Lesnar was going to be there after, they would no way use him in such a pointless manner because he just stood there and he just listened to the Walrus.
Yeah, I was going to say the least or the less said about this, the better, really.
All I'd say as well was Heyman did a very good job of making it sound like it's going to be Lesnar versus Bryan at WrestleMania because he was thoroughly pushing Bryan. I think he pushed him more than Reigns.
We're going to get a freeway.
I don't know what to say.
Well, you take that however you want.
I'd be entirely shocked if we do get it again. Let's put it that way.
I wouldn't be now.
Stick Rollins in, make it a fatal four-way, make it a bit different.
Like, do you know what I'd love to see if they did that? You remember the one at 16 where they did the elimination fatal four-way?
Yeah, something else, something a bit different would be very nice, WWE.
Yeah, exactly. So I think lots of good things this week with NXT and not so much on Raw, or SmackDown. So yeah, I think NXT for me was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, can't wait for the next one, the next rival. What are they going to call it? That's the question because they got the takeover bit and then they kind of just tweak the ending. What are they going to call it next?
NXT TakeOver Animosity.
Animosity. Yeah, it was very good, guys. Let us know what your thoughts of Sting was. I thought the segment was very exciting. I look forward to the Triple H Sting feud building into Fastlane, and we'll be talking about Fastlane, I'm sure, very, very soon. There's a lot to talk about. Some good. Some
definitely. And I think we got some shout outs this week.
We have. I've got an extra shout out, so I just want to give a shout out, and you guys can get your shout outs in if you do follow me on Twitter. It's at Delzinski or Weeds is Weeds_world. Drop us a tweet here or there or everywhere with the hashtag WeTalkWeekend, and you will get a shout out on the show. So the two shout outs that I've got, number one, both YouTubers, so go check out the channels. I will link their channels in the description box below because I'm that kind of guy. So we got the Midcard Push, so we're going to push him even more so to the main event. That's what we're going to do. So a big shout out to you. You are indeed Daniels approved, and more importantly, you are Delzinski approved. I don't know if you want to be Professor approved.
I don't know. We do grading on that.
I mean, yeah, you don't want to go in the dungeon with Mike Tenay and Weeds, to be honest.
Well, but let's be completely honest. Who's got Rico tied up at the minute?
Shh.
Exactly. I would keep him quiet as well.
No, nobody can keep Rico quiet. And then the second shout out that we've got as well is to the J-Man as well. Yes, We Talk Weekend. You are as well. Daniels approved, Delzinski approved, and Mike Tenay approved, and Professor approved, and Rico approved for that matter. So you've got the whole shebang, basically. And last but not least, this is a shout out as well to a channel that I really like. And, I want to put these guys over a little bit because I think their content is hilarious. It's the Brodos. Yeah, so if you haven't heard of them, they're quite a small channel at the moment. They do WWE game stuff. They've got a universe mode going on, and it's pretty entertaining hearing these two guys commentate over their matches. They are very funny. So yeah, go check them out as well. Link in the description box. And that brings us to the end of another We Talk. We went long. We did a Triple H.
We gave him an extra 15 minutes, did we?
We did.
It's the kind of guys we are.
Yes. So that kind of brings us to the end. I'm going to get back to the dungeon and sort out Rico. And I don't know what you're going to do, Weeds. What are you doing with Mike Tenay today? Anything good?
I might do a bit of shopping today.
With Mike?
Yeah, well, it's Valentine's Day, isn't it? Don't tell me you've forgotten. Rico is going to be mortally offended.
I'm just stunned to silence that you are going shopping with Mike Tenay and it's Valentine's Day, so...
Yeah, we'll see you down there.
Weird. All right, guys, that kind of brings us to the end of another We Talk. Don't forget that hashtag We Talk Weekend. Hope you enjoy it, and we will see you same time next week. Weeds, do you want to sign out?
Till next time, guys, have a great week, and we will see you at the same time next weekend.